too soon. Hi, everybody. Nice to be here. It's been a phenomenal day. I've met so many beautiful faces, new and old friends. Front row, I see you. So today I'm going to talk about the Creator Program at Canva. We've got a number of different programs at Canva. The Creators Program is near and dear to my heart because it's where I started at Canva. So it's very surreal for me to be up on this stage right now representing Canva. I've really loved this product since I discovered it in about 2014. And I kind of never knew that this would happen. I always kind of thought, could I work there? But it was in the back of my head. And I wanted to bring up this quote. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. And as I thought about the story to set the stage, I had to reflect on my own journey and how I got here. So using Canva's text-to-image, shout out to Magic Studio if you've noticed that drop today. My story starts with a bit of a leap of faith. It was a hot September day. I was in Miami. I just moved back from the Bay Area. Whoop, Miami. And I'm putting swag into my Subaru, as any good community manager does, when my cell phone rings, and I'm like, okay, hey, Monica, it's Jeff Doniker. Jeff Doniker. Jeff Doniker is the COO of Yelp at the time, and I'm like, hi, Jeff. He said, hey, you want to move to Brazil? What? But I don't speak Portuguese. You speak Spanish. You can figure it out. So if you're laughing, it's either because you know Jeff and that was a damn good impression, or you know that in Brazil, they speak Portuguese and not Spanish. Well, when I hung up, I found myself a little bit overwhelmed, excited, scared. I couldn't say no, but I couldn't say yes right away. So, I don't know, I trusted my gut, life, destiny, karma, whatever, and took what felt like a huge jump that ended up defining the next 9 years of my life. So yeah, the reason I brought up that Steve Jobs quote is because I couldn't have connected the dots then the way I can now. And so I'll end with how those dots ended up connecting. But I think very much of this story starts with the chances we're willing to take, the risk we're willing to take, the curiosity that we all have for what might be on the other side. And I think David spoke to that really nicely today. So my career, from writers at Yelp to photographers at Pexels to designers at Canva, has all been around this creator ecosystem. And I've been super lucky to be part of scaling some of the world's most well-known and adored products. And in the same way that creators find their particular niche, I found mine with the help of the Spaces model. So shout out to the Spaces model. So for me, it's very much been about that contribution-based community. And I should have asked this early on, but does everyone know what Canva is? Woo! Okay, great. Michael didn't, it turns out. I met him earlier, did not know what Canva was, and I was like, I should ask that question. It's a graphic design tool that helps you create pretty much anything. And if you've ever started on Canva using a template, there's a 70% chance you have used a template made by a creator. So the Creators Program is an international community of graphic designers who share their work on Canva for people like you and I to use. And like many great community programs, this one started out of a really important mission, and it was to empower the world to design in every language. But how would we do that? So as Canva started to grow in several different markets across several different languages, we noticed that we needed to provide members of our community in these different countries with relevant content that spoke to the needs that they have, the holidays that they celebrate, and the local nuances that only they could really understand. So we had our in-house design team. We have designers sitting in Sydney and sitting in Manila, and they have been fantastic at building that baseline, that visual standard that you all hopefully look to Canva and know Canva for having. And they laid that groundwork, they laid that foundational groundwork to help us introduced templates to the world. But imagine, how can they really understand the local nuances of Brazil? How could they understand the local nuances of Mexico, of Japan? And it was our creators that came in and really helped us scale that library. So when I said the 70% chance that you have of having used the creator template on Canva, it's because there's 2 million plus templates that have been made by the creators community. So it's kind of a pinch me moment to think that today Canva is so community powered, and that wasn't the case 2 years ago. So I'm super excited for what the creators community have brought to Canva and helped us expand throughout the world. So that's really cool for Canva, and that's really cool for us who are using Canva, but what do creators get out of it? That's kind of what I promised, this mutual growth conversation of creators benefiting as well. So we surveyed creators, and the 70% keeps coming up. It might be like the magic number. 70% of them said that they valued creative freedom the most, over everything, over money. And we recognized the need that they had to expand this and to figure out, what does creative freedom actually mean to them? Well, it means that their ability to set their own deadlines, to work against the kind of creativity that inspires them, and to not have client demands is really what moved them. And so that's what we wanted to build. So learning number one, I'm going to share some learnings. There's 5. Learning number 1 is play is important. When it comes to community, we know that this is kind of what community brings energy, community brings life to different companies. And the story behind this photo is a number of our Latin American creators from Uruguay to Argentina to Chile to Mexico decided to take a trip to Cancun together, because why not? So they showed up on a virtual call with the rest of the community. They kind of like bombed the call with their yellow bucket hats and margarita vibes. And I love this moment because to me it was like, oh guys, we've made it. Community has really made it. If these guys are self-organizing and getting on a plane and going to Cancun, that's really special. So taking a page from Dan Pink's Drive, the book, and all his research, you might know that it's really important to balance rewards with intrinsic motivation. You can't just have money. If you just have money, you're going to burn through it really quickly, and you're probably not going to inspire a lot of people along the way. So our community team really focused on intrinsic motivation. What were the things that we could do to tap into that universal pursuit of autonomy and mastery and purpose that creators have, and certainly we all have? So how did we strike this balance? This is Kubilay. He's a Turkish creator, and kind of speaks to that point that I mentioned earlier. Working without any limits makes me happy. As a Canva creator, I feel free. I can try whatever I want, whenever I want, and however I want. So we knew that it was important for them to self-direct their lives. That was front and center. On the autonomy piece, though, we also realized that a lot of creatives, especially solo creatives, are just that, solo creatives. They're working solo. So what could community bring as part of our recipe to make them feel like part of a team, to make them feel like an extended network, to make them want to get on a plane and fly to Cancun with strangers? So as community managers, it became important for us to create this engineer serendipity and create moments where they could participate in online design challenges, collaborative whiteboarding, and different things that we would kind of implement from the community standpoint to bridge these connections between people. And as we started to do that, we started to see more of this self-organization begin to happen, from Japan to Brazil to Latin America to Indonesia. And of course, we sent out a lot of swag that people always love in a good community program. Learning 2, provide paths for personal growth. This is on that mastery piece. Take note if you are. This was maybe one of the best decisions we made early on with the Creators Program. So I was overseeing community, but I also had the special chance to oversee our design education team. And I think it was the design education team married with the community efforts that really drove this program to the extent that it did, to the extent that we were able to generate over 2 million templates and inspire creators to do that kind of design. And our creators design education team are master educators. They know design inside out, but template design is new. It's not like music, it's not like photography, it's not like it's been around for decades. Template design is kind of a newer art form, but we noticed that some people, were selling templates on different platforms that were then getting bought and carried over into Canva. So we kind of had an aha moment. Let's create an ability for these designers to actually have their templates on Canva and not have to do that migration as an end user. And our creators design education team established creative briefs to inspire our creators, trend reports to give them cutting edge access to what was coming down the pipeline, and different challenges that got them excited and participating. And so this shared learning helped to set the stage for the program, and also help us reduce the number of rejections that creators were facing. Because of course, if you're submitting your work and you're constantly getting rejected, it doesn't feel so great. So we would see complaints in the community, oh, this is a really hard program. Well, Canva also had a really high standard for quality, because that's what makes Canva so powerful. So one of my personal favorite case studies was working with our education creators. These are teachers first, designers second. In many cases, they're not designers at all, but they learned how to design through Canva and through our program. So over 5 weeks, we wanted to increase our education creators' chances of being successful by improving their design skills and supercharging their creative process. We worked with 2 Canvassators. They were super good creators, Donna and Tanya, AKA Danya. We love them. And they were fabulous teachers. We paired them up with 6 designers from Texas to the UK to Chile, and we wanted to see, would this work, this kind of mentorship? 2 mentors, 6 mentees, 5 weeks. What were we trying to do here? We had 30 contact hours and 3 group sessions and 18 one-on-ones. We were measuring for attractiveness. We wanted to see, would these education creators, would their templates become more attractive by working with these mentors? And in fact, it did. There was a 91% improvement in their design attractiveness. And so you might be wondering, how do you measure attractiveness? It's kind of simple. We just looked at what was the usage of their templates from people like us before the mentorship, and what was it after? Pretty successful. These are some of the really cool templates that they all started to make that got used in the classrooms through and through. Learning 3, purpose is paramount. So these are the Canva company values. There's 6 of them, and we take them really close to heart. And we don't only share them internally, but we extend them to our community. When we send out swag, it always includes the stickers of our company values. And I think that part of what has helped create so much love around the Canva brand is the fact that we are really trying to do good. We're trying to do good by our community, and we want to extend that to them so that they do good in their communities. The one I want to point out is the Be a Force for Good. So I think that this is part of what drives that purpose feeling within our community members. 30% of Canva equity has been pledged, and we have distributed $10 million to some of the world's poorest people in Southern Africa using mobile payments directly to their phones. So we're constantly trying to give back to our community, and we have a quote-unquote simple 2-step plan in doing this. Step 1, we have a goal of becoming one of the most valuable companies in the world. And step 2, we want to do the most good that we can. And step 1 very much fuels step 2. And this ethos that we carry as a company, we also share it with our creators and with our other community members. And I think Tanya says it best, Canva Creators has truly changed my life. I'm happy creatively and professionally. Knowing you are putting work out there with a company that you really support and respect and is doing good in the world is amazing. And I think that part of the success of the community at Canva isn't because I'm amazing or my team is amazing, but it's because Canva is actually amazing. And it makes my job really easy to go out and represent a brand like this. And it makes it easy for community members to feel so passionate about the product as well. And yes, I guess I didn't mention this, but creators do earn as a result of being in the program. So many of them make a really viable income as part of the creators program. And to Tanya's point, this is an amazing group of creators that came together, some of them in Turkey. We had an event for them, and I've seen this group of people come together in such beautiful and sometimes heartbreaking ways. Back in February, there were devastating earthquakes that struck Turkey and Syria. And I was moved by how these community members got together. They created spreadsheets of what needed to be donated, and they were deploying people from the program into the area that was impacted to deliver these donations. And then they also set up a station within the tents where they would teach kids how to use Canva and engage with them playing games. It was really heartwarming to see how our community was extending into their own community. And in Brazil, this was Danielle. There were a series of storms here in Brazil. Many people lost their family, home, belongings. So I made some templates to encourage donations. I saw it used at my gym, on my WhatsApp broadcast list, and even on the light pole near my house. I can't describe how happy I was. My work was being used for the greater good. They're just templates, right? But then they're not. They do so much more, because imagery is all around us. And whether or not we notice it, it can do quite a lot. Danielle's templates were used 24,000 times, and they were used to help drive donations to a central location. So he did a video sharing this experience, and he cried in the video, and you could see how moved he was and how important this was for him that he was able to give back to his community. Learning 4, choose the right people to build something extraordinary. So as we all know, starting any community, especially from scratch, it's important to find those first people that are going to become your force multipliers. After all, they'll become the role models that others will want to emulate, that they'll turn to. So they're going to be the example. And one of my favorite stories to tell is about Roger. Roger was a pastor before he became a Canva creator. And he's somebody who's so brilliant and so dynamic. And he was one of these people that was in our community that within our team, we kind of picked him. And we said, we think you're really special. And we think you're kind of onto something. Would you like to do a rap video for us?
Yo, it was a clear black night about 8:15, and Canva is where I spend most of my days. I was wishing for a way to share my designs, and my inbox made a ding, it was Canva, a sign. They were looking for creators, innovators, it was greater than when the food industry started frying up potatoes. The creator program was its name, a digital marketplace was the name of the game. You create, you publish, you grow your brand, 60 million users are now at your hands. I was like, what? Some of y'all right now racing to the wait list real fast. I be making stuff, you be making stuff, we be making stuff together. Canva creators. Join the wait list now.
Give it up for Roger. Check him out on Instagram, my social designer. The guy is off the chain, funny and creative. He does the coolest stuff. So yeah, people like Roger give us community builders so much energy to continue the work that we're doing. And when you can find those people and kind of amplify them a little bit, the impact of that is just extraordinary. And in our case, it was amazing because I was like, how can we get more people to apply for the program? Let's get Roger to make a rap. And so we actually got this out across social media, and it worked really well. It helped us attract new people to join the wait list that we were then reviewing to decide, do they have the design quality that we're looking for to accept into the program? But it was actually a really good way to generate new leads for the creator program. And because we're so intentional, I think this is how it kind of cuts back into the company. It's not that the community team is working in isolation. We very much tie back into greater Canva. So when we had our big event, Canva Create, we actually flew Roger out to Sydney. We put him up on stage. He rapped live in front of thousands of people. And it was amazing. Like, it was such an extraordinary moment. And Roger was lit. He was all over social. He was just freaking out. And so he's kind of become our, really amazing role model across the community. So learning 5, to scale a community, anchor it with a command center. That's me in the multicolored hair, and that's Sarah in the blue hair. We pretty much work like this. If you have the ability to find yourselves a Sarah, this is what you got to do. So whether you're a team of 1 or a team of 50, operationalizing or thinking about how you can operationalize your community work, I have learned is one of the most important things that separates, I won't say it separates somebody good from somebody not so good. I think it separates, like, you're here and then you could be here. Reason why is because I have never been able to communicate and visually communicate my impact and our community team's impact without the work that Sarah has brought into the program. So she's the global community operations lead. I think she's gonna love the fact that I'm singing her praises on this stage. And she's helped us pioneer infrastructure in a way that I've never seen it being done before. So at Canva, we have 135 million monthly users. There's 1.4 million of them who are part of our community programs. The community programs like the Creators Program, our education program, and we have a few others. It takes a lot to support 1.4 million people. And so over time, our team has grown as well. There's 38 people on the community team at Canva, and we have 26 hyperlocal CMs. Early on, I was talking about how one of our big initiatives was to scale our content across several different languages, and that was my solution to how we would do that. It was finding local community managers to help me run these communities across all these different geographic areas. And over time, you can imagine that when you work with an international team, it's really hard. It's hard to scale process, it's hard to scale best practices, and it's hard to take account of what's even going on. So it's because of the operational work that Sarah's helped pioneer at Canva that our community team has been so successful in communicating value, communicating impact, and then staying aligned, not just within our team, but within other teams at the company. So these are just some examples of what the types of things we look at. We have a master plan, the community strategy, and it kind of speaks to the whole company about what we're doing with community at Canva, what is it driving, and how do we work with it. We have Looker. I got asked, like, what are some of the tools you all use? So we use Canva through and through, but we also use Looker for data, and so we have dashboards set up that are helping us track our KPIs. We do a lot of whiteboarding, and we do a lot of monthly reports. So basically a way for our team to communicate everything that's going on in their markets across their key metrics. And we put this together, or Sarah helps put this together in a very beautiful visual format that then gets shared around to key stakeholders. So again, I think if you're not thinking about how you operationalize your team or your work, it's always a good time. There's never a, I'm just one person. You can still do it, and you should do it. So learnings here: play is important, provide paths for personal growth, purpose is paramount, choose the right people, and don't forget your command center. So you might be wondering how those dots ended up connecting for me. At the beginning, I had moved to Brazil, taken that jump. So this is when I was in Brazil, I ended up taking a new opportunity, and I joined Pexels, a small company. I wanted to stay in Brazil very much, and there weren't a lot of community roles that would let me and were open to letting me work remotely from Brazil. But I found Pexels, and thankfully they were super open to my idea of staying in Brazil and working there. So I pitched Canva. I pitched Canva in February of 2018. I sent through a contact form, hey, would you guys implement the Pexels API? And I got a response from Lee. And I said, thanks for getting in touch with me, because I've now reached out to him. I've been a heavy Canva user for years, so I'm geeking out over a partnership. And then I wrote, these are my ideas for how we could work together. Weeks later, I get a reply, not from Lee, but from somebody else. Hey, Monica, great to be in touch. Those ideas don't quite hit the sweet spot for us right now, but I'll have a think about alternatives and get back to you with some ideas. I was crushed. I was like so sure that Canva was going to start working with Pexels, and this was going to be like a huge win for us at Pexels. Well, I couldn't have predicted then what ended up happening, but then Canva acquired Pexels. I was like, perfect! So that's where my story ends, and really just to say, you never know what can happen. If you have the curiosity and the openness and the chance that you're willing to take, yeah, thank you.